Hi folks, this is Jeremy from CollectionDX, and if you have a broken Voltron, whether it's a 1980s vintage Popey Go Lion, Godakin Go Lion from Bandai, or a Matchbox Voltron 3, or if you have the 1997 Trendmasters Diecast Voltron, and it's got a broken neck, I'll show you how to fix it using parts from the 1998 Trendmasters all-plastic Mighty Lion Force Voltron. That one was kind of crappy. It's still not very expensive today, and you can kitbash a part from the neck and use it to repair your old school Voltron or your 1997 Trendmasters Voltron. And honestly, the 1997 one is the one you're probably going to need it for the most because the plastic on that is notorious for being more brittle than the old school. It will also work on bootleg Lionbot toys. So let's get started. Hey there, Internet. So I have 3 Voltrons of various conditions. And I am going to try and at least get one good working Voltron out of it. So on the left, we have a Black Lion from the Trendmasters 1997 reissue center, same thing with red and green arms. And then on the right is the 1998 all-plastic Trendmasters that has little slots for pilot figures. My thinking is that the little head assembly may be similar enough on the plastic one to reuse, but I do have a broken head on this one here. And while the neck seems to be okay on the back of this one here, it's actually a little bit messed up in the inside there. There's a little break on the inside, so that's not ideal. So we're going to see if we can come up with a solution. Also, we have a broken leg here, and this one has no wings. So the idea is to combine enough pieces to get one decent looking Black Lion out of this mess. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is try and get these green and red arms off of the center Voltron. I think that they're kind of stuck, as I recall. Get the sword out of the way here. We don't want to mess up the chrome. Yeah, definitely it's kind of stuck. Well, that's alright. This is real dirty too, and I'll probably clean it up later. But let's see what's going on here. Get these wings out of the way. Man, everything seems pretty tight, actually. That's a good sign. My theory is that this was hanging around somewhere just collecting dust forever. Wow, this really does not want to open. Oof, wow, that's very tight. Okay. And I don't know how well you can see this. I'm going to put the camera close. So there's this little, I don't know, little metal sort of spring-like. I don't think you'll be able to see it. I'm just going to pull it. So you basically just pull up this little wire in there, and yep, just lets go. There it goes. Okay. Black Lion has both arms off, and wow, this is filthy, and we really need to spend a few minutes cleaning it up. So first I'll take a close look here at the green lion. Actually in pretty nice shape. Looks like there's a little bit of paint wear. Legs and arms look pretty good. Red Lion. Also looking pretty nice. Doesn't seem to be much paint wear at all on the Red Lion. I think it's actually a nicer shape than the green one, but they're both pretty good. There's like one ding there in the paint, and that's kind of all I could see. There's a little oxidization on the little peg in the feet, but not too bad. And they both do have intact tails. I know it's way more common for the tails to be intact when they're not chromed tails, like the original Popey Go Lion, which you also saw on some of the earlier Godaikin releases from Bandai in the US, Bandai. But I don't think any Voltrons came out the door with those. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. The gray tails on the Matchbox ones or the black tails on these Trendmasters ones are a lot more sturdy and break less. So if I have a real dusty toy that I want to clean up, I usually start with this stuff. Dust Ease, like they're supposed to be for sticking on a little Swiffer kind of thing, but dust just kind of like sticks to them, like it's just like vacuum cleaner. Dust comes right off, and it's usually where I start with, just because it's really effective and not really abrasive or corrosive or anything like that. I don't know if I want to spend much time cleaning up the Voltron head considering it's broken, but well, you know, I could maybe recycle the head. It's just the neck that's broken, honestly. But yeah, this body's in pretty good shape despite the broken leg down here. A little chrome damage on this corner here from assembly, I'm guessing. Now, I don't like to use relatively harsh chemicals like isopropyl alcohol on paint. It's usually fine on just plastic, but you know, you don't want to cause paint damage to a vintage piece that's already a little beat up. Oof, this is extra gross. I'll probably use a little bit of it on the non-painted areas. Maybe go really, really light on painted areas. But this doesn't have to be like a perfect get every single thing. We can get more detail later using a Q-tip or an old toothbrush. Old toothbrushes are really good for this kind of thing because they're soft. They're meant to not abrade human teeth, so they should not abrade plastic or metal or paint either. Notice the chin here looks kind of like maybe it's yellowed. I guess we can compare to this other chin. Oh yeah, it's definitely yellowed. So we're definitely going to want to use this chin if we can. I don't know, it's got a pin through it though, so it might be hard to swap. Well, we'll do our best to combine the best parts to make a nice one. And I'm pretty curious if I can actually use the intact neck for this, because the it's not the exact same mold, but they definitely based it off of they made this plastic one based on the deluxe classic Popey Chogokin one, but it's not exactly the same. But I'm still hoping this neck bit will work, because if it does, that would be great. It seems to be a lot tougher than the one in the Trendmasters diecast version. Although this plastic here has broken, because there's a thing about black plastic in the cheaper, I think it's actually specifically the sparkly black plastic in the Trendmasters. So if you've ever seen the close to 2 foot tall Trendmasters Voltron that can separate into different pieces, that one tends to have a problem with the black line just kind of disintegrating over time, like pieces around here break off of it. Also, the Stealth Voltron, so I had that happen to me, the deluxe Stealth Voltron, not the 2 foot tall one, but the 1 foot tall one, about the same height as these guys or those guys when they're combined. Yeah, it was real unfortunate. I actually took it to a show, I think it was Anime Expo 2004 or something like that, and it was in my to sale pile, and somebody just picked it up and broke it right there at the sale, and that was wonderful. But I don't really think it was ultimately their fault. I think it was this plastic that they use in these Trendmasters toys. It just tends to fail over time, although I didn't know it then and was pretty upset about it. The guy wasn't even apologetic. He just like walked up, manhandled my toy, and broke it and walked away. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, when we're about done just wiping over everything and getting the base level of grime off, I think it'll be time to pull out the toothbrush and do some detail work. You can use a Q-tip, but I don't know, I find the toothbrush works better and doesn't tend to get caught on little things the way you might have that happen with oh man, this is so tight. That is good news. You might have that happen with the Q-tip. Okay, almost finished cleaning this roughly. Ooh, there's funk in there. Wow. I feel like this lion tail has not been out in a while. But this is good though. The fact that it was just like in a box or on a shelf or something for years and years, and even though it got all kinds of dusty, that means generally speaking it's in pretty good shape, which I'm happy about. I definitely would prefer if it wasn't broken, but then I wouldn't have a project, and in these times of not being able to leave the house, it's good to have a project, so I'm actually kind of happy about that. Not that it's broken, but just that I have something to work on. Okay, so that's pretty decent there, so I'm just going to grab toothbrushes. It's a plain old toothbrush. There we go. Anyway, just kind of run all over it with the toothbrush, and if there are any spots that are still looking funky after going after it with the toothbrush, you might want to consider water, or if it's in an unpainted area, a little isopropyl alcohol. So we'll come back in a minute after we kind of go through all this junk. Okay, so I've done a pretty thorough preliminary cleaning on the individual lions. They look pretty good here. One thing I've noticed is it's not so much of a big deal on the arms, the red and green lions, but I've noticed that there's kind of a sticky, gooey something, some surface on the paint areas. I mean, it might be on the plastics too, but it just feels kind of sticky. And like you can see, if you look real close up here, I don't know how well that's focusing. Like that's not paint wear, there's just kind of some grime on it. So I think I'm gonna actually come back and do some water, just real gently try and clean it with water, because these, there's like, oh, you know, you probably see it really good here on the white part. Yeah, it definitely looks like there's some kind of grime there, and it's on the lion, black lion that goes with it too, but it's not as bad, but there's less painted area on it to see it. But yeah, I was trying to clean off this junk here on the top, and it's just not wanting to come off, and I think it's just like decades of filth. So I'm gonna get a little water and go after that. I think I might even use some alcohol on the top part of Black Lion here, since none of that's painted, and hopefully make some progress here. The head, for some reason, was especially disgusting. I don't know what that's about. And I mean, the neck is broken and this chin is all yellowed, so probably not going to want to use that part anyway. But the head part here on the top actually is in better shape than the one up here in terms of paint. So I might try to swap that. I'm not sure how hard it would be to swap the top of the head. The all plastic one has similar construction, but it's not exactly the same. Like you can see here, the pin in the side is a different size, and the face doesn't move independent. Oh, this is so fucked up. The face does not move independently of the jaw here, but let me do it on this one that's not as broken. You can see here the face is independent, and you can have the face pulled up, so when he's in lion mode you can have him opening and close his jaws without Voltron's face popping out. So we'll see. I'm still thinking about how to combine these effectively. I did notice something that I didn't realize previously. If you look very closely at the chrome, you see this one on the right here actually has a gold tint to the chrome, and the one on the left is just a normal silver tint. So my original plan was to replace this broken leg piece with the unbroken leg piece from this one over here, but I'm reconsidering because this is silver chrome and this is gold chrome, and it might not be super obvious, but kind of wish I had a gold chrome leg to replace that part with. But I might end up, you know, swapping pieces differently than I originally intended and use more of this one. I mean, it primarily just needs the wings and maybe a solution for this partially broken neck part, but we'll see what we can come up with. Try a little water here. Got a little teeny water dish. Gonna dunk my toothbrush in there a little bit. Try not to go too hard on the water because I don't want to accidentally cause corrosion on the diecast parts. Try to avoid it as much as I can, but yeah, see, there was some kind of nastiness on here that wasn't coming off with just the dust remover, so I guess water was the way to go. But I'm trying not to leave it on the surface too long because, I mean, this is metal. Even if it's painted, there's still some chips out of the paint, and you know, I don't want that to lead to rusting or other corrosion. But I'm just gonna run through and do that on all of them. Okay, so I finished cleaning them off using some just plain water, just went really light and seemed to work. There was actually kind of a sticky something all over everything. Starting to wonder if maybe this didn't come from a house where people smoked. Not ideal, but it came off pretty easily, no longer grimy and sticky. And oh yeah, the head that was hanging on by a thread actually came off, so you know, whatever, it was already broken, it was going to happen sooner or later. So what I think I'm going to do is disassemble the cheesy all plastic one, find out if this neck piece is at all usable in one of these classic style Voltrons. If it is, great. If not, we'll come up with something else. Okay, well, the good news is I did get chest part. The bad news is the more the plastic broke before I could even get it all the way unscrewed, and you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. This was already broken and fairly dead. So I did get the headpiece off. Still not sure if it is necessarily compatible. It looks like it's pretty close to the right size. I don't know, I might have to like try and shave it down to get it to fit or something, but it's worth a shot. Also, I was looking at the wing construction here, and well, it is cheesy plastic and not as nice as the wings on the diecast one. I wonder if we might be able to get it to work anyway, because I mean, these are definitely designed, like the cheesy all plastic one's definitely based on the mold of the diecast one, but modified and cheaper materials and all that. But I'm just going to see, I'm going to try and take off these wings and see if it's at all possible to put them onto the diecast one, because that would be pretty neat. Okay, so I got all of the screws out of this, and it looks like this piece just pops right off the back. And here we can see the wing construction. I'm not sure what this yellow piece is about. Oh, wow. That's really silly. Huh, okay, I guess it works. It's just designed to keep them from getting pinched and therefore popping out, huh? Okay, well, again, very cheap, cheesy construction. Nowhere near as nice as, oh wow, look at that. These aren't even like held in with a peg. It's just snapped together. Huh, okay, well, let's see if I can get these out, and we'll see if it's at all possible to put them in the diecast one. I got one of the wing struts out and attached it back to the wing. If you want to see how I did it, I will show you. It was pretty simple. I basically took a screwdriver, pushed down one side here, and then it just kind of popped right through. So that's it. Pretty simple. Technically, you could still use this launcher on its own. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is to take apart this one. This is the one whose head is not all the way broken off. I'm just going to take out the screws and well, actually I'm going to take off the screws in the hips first. And then I will take out the screws in the back, and it should separate at that point. It's pretty simple construction. Oh, watch out for the spring in these. Don't want to lose that. Looks like the spring and the screw top stayed in, so that makes it easier for us. Oh, actually, real quick while I've got this open. Take the perfect opportunity to clean it. Hopefully this one, the screw will stay in as well. Oh, nice, it did. Okay, screw and spring are still inside it, so that makes things easier. Okay. So now we're going to go after these screws. So there's just 3 here, 1 by the tail, 2 up here. They're not these is where the wings go, but it's up here, these holes at the top. Okay, got the screws all loosened up. Just need, yeah, just lift it right off. Okay, and actually we can see in here parts that held the wings on. It's weird that there's only one. That's a broken peg, which I guess broke off the wing. There's 2 screws here, but only 1 spring. Did the spring find a way to fall out somewhere? That's weird. Strange. I wonder where that other spring went. Oops. And those screws popped out. Okay. Don't do what I just did and launch screws everywhere. 1, 2, and where's the third one? The third one is still in there by the tail. Okay. There's the 3rd screw for the back. Great. Well, anyway, I don't think we're going to necessarily use those again regardless, so I guess it doesn't matter all that much. Just try and keep things over here so I know what went into what. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take a look at this head. I'm going to unscrew this piece here very carefully because this head is not broken all the way, but it's a little broken and I don't want to make it worse. If at all possible, it might be salvageable. Not entirely sure how you get this to come out. Oh, there it goes. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Now let's see here if this can just pop right on. Sure can't. But I think it might if we drill this hole wider, because it looks like that is the main difference. But the shape of it is pretty similar, and I think that we might be able to get away with it. Let's just see. yeah, I really do think that this might be a good replacement neck piece. I flipped it around backwards because this part of it has a wider hole. But if I just drill this wider, I think we might actually be cool. This might really work. Now the question is, can we get a better head mounted on these struts without breaking the struts? So that'll take some exploration too. You might have to break these pieces off, but I guess it's a question of, where's the broken one? I guess it's a question of how much of this head can we get off of here without destroying things. So there is a peg through here, or a pin, I guess, through here. We might be able to get it to come out without breaking the plastic, but we'll have to see if it works. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. So the way that the back plate is shaped for the wings to attach is not going to be compatible with the way these wings attach. So we'd have to drill out this whole area wide enough for it to fit through and hope that it held, which is more than I want to do. So I think I'm going to leave these in my parts bin and we'll do something with them later perhaps. But that said, I do think that we'll be able to salvage this neck piece. We just have to basically chop open the other head and see if it's even worth the effort. So I think that's going to be next on my list to do. Okay, so I just grabbed one of my screwdriver bits and pushed on the end of it to see if it would come out, and this peg actually came right out, which is a surprise and a relief. But that means we might be able to get into this without it being the worst thing. So I basically have these bits that are the broken part. You see where they came right off the base unit. So I don't know if this is going to be compatible with this or not, but let's see if we can repeat the same feat by poking this pin. I don't know if we're going to be able to, because one of the things that was different about the construction is this pin has a head on it and neither side of this one does. And I think that might be a little bit thinner too. So I'm going to see if I can just separate this plastic. Whoops. And if I can on both sides, maybe I can get this to come off. I was amazed how easy it came off on the die-cast one, but the plastic one is not constructed the same. And again, this is all broken, so I don't particularly care if I break it more. I'm just trying to see if this back part could be usable to repair with a much nicer die-cast one. So I'm gonna pull on that for a while and see if I can get somewhere. Okay, probably not the ideal approach, but I just sort of hacked at it until this part broke and the whole pin went flying out of there, which surprised me, but hey, I'll take it. So there goes the Voltron head. Keep in mind, if you break this, you're breaking the Voltron head, because this is all one unit in the all plastic version, whereas it's a separate unit in the die-cast one. So what that's left us with is this cheesy head. I'll pull that off. And so what I'm hoping is that this yellow bit will be close enough where we can make it work with this broken part here. So let me see if I can get this off without breaking the yellow part. Oh, it looks like we can. Right. Okay, excellent. This yellow stuff is a much more flexible plastic than the black stuff, which is probably why it didn't break and the black die-cast one broke. So let's pull this off here. So it looks like the way these are attached is through just a single peg rather than this like fat assembly on top of it. So I suspect that if I whittle this down, I can get it to work. And that would be really satisfying because I think that would work to get our Voltron head back to a functional state. The yellow one that we're using as a replacement in the black one, and you can see the length of the peg is the same, it just mushrooms out on the yellow one, which can't use the mushroom out. And I was thinking about how to fix that, and I think what I'm going to do is try and clip it with some of these guys, just wire cutters. It's not fancy, but I think it'll get the job done. Because this is pretty soft plastic, and yeah, see, you just cut right through it, no problem. I was like going to try and do something fancier and, you know, do something all elaborate and try and make a really smooth Dremel cut finish. And then the more I thought about it, the more I realized that's probably just going to make it worse. It's going to be easier to overcut with a Dremel, and if I just go like that, I can make a cleaner cut. And I might have to, you know, test fit it a few times and mess around with it until I get it exactly right. But I think this is going to be the way to go. So give me a few minutes to cut that. Okay, so I have been whittling away at it, and you know, it's not pretty or anything, but it works. So I'll show you right now. Just kind of, this is a nice thing about this plastic being flexible, unlike the plastic that broke. You just kind of squeeze that in and it slides right into the space where it's supposed to go. So I think we have a repaired neck. Now the only thing left to do is to drill this hole bigger so that it will fit on the Voltron body. Basically, this part needs to go all the way through. So I just need to drill out this bit here. I'm going to be very, very careful. Kids, don't try this at home. It's okay. One more time. No, still not quite there. Okay, so I am going to go up a bit size, I guess. If you're going to do what I'm doing, be very, very careful. You're probably better off clamping it. Yeah, be very, very careful if you're doing this. You're probably better off clamping it onto a table or something, but I'm willing to take the risk, so I think we're okay. Alright, so let's see if that works. Oh yeah, that's a real good fit now. Okay. Real good fit. Feels solid. Looks pretty good. Let's try sticking the head on. Figure out where the head went. Oh, there it is. Okay. Bam. We have a head that works again. So, you know, if anyone tells you the cheap plastic, I think it's Mighty Lion Force is the name of the Trendmasters one, they tell you that it's an entirely new mold and not at all related to the old Popey DX, tell them they're wrong, because this is definitely based on the same mold. It's just heavily modified to, you know, save money or whatever. So, yeah, that is a successful transplant. So, it's just a matter of putting the face and jaw back on now. No, it really seems like it fits fine. Oops, The face got a little out of whack. Yeah, without that peg in there, the face just kind of hangs out. So, you know, it works, but we'll have to get it in there properly. Okay, well, I'm going to go clean the jaw and the face a little more thoroughly with some water, and we'll come back and put it all together. So, I decided to take the one that was not broken all the way, but was kind of broken, and pull off the jaw so I could swap the jaws, because this jaw is definitely a little yellowed even after the cleaning. So I'm going to use the whiter jaw on the nicer one, and we will go ahead and use the yellower one on the one that's kind of beat up. I also wanted to show exactly mechanically what the problem is here. You can see here there's the long part that sticks out, and then this part, it's the end of it is snapped off. The black bit and the red, see? So it's not all the way broken, like it still works, but it's not great. I also wanted to point out the issue that's happening with the flimsy black plastic here, where, so okay, you see how when the ears are closed, this black helmet part is flush with the red bit? So you open the ear and it like actually pulls it away. So the ears want to close on their own, and I don't know if that's because of the ear mold being off or the head mold being off or something. Like it's just like maybe mold degradation from years and years of being produced. I had the same problem on my Lionbot bootleg, but I don't know exactly how old that Lionbot bootleg is. One thing I thought about maybe trying was putting the yellow ears on from the Mighty Lion Force one, because they're, again, it's kind of a softer plastic, but I also left this authentic, I guess, but I don't know if I'm worried about authenticity at this point. I just want it to be functional and look good, and this is kind of rickety. I don't know. The repaired one with the yellow piece that I got off of the Mighty Lion Force one, though we are all set on. Basically what we need to do is we have the little metal pipe, or little metal peg, and it's gonna stick through, it's gonna go right through here, stick through the face, come out the other side of the jaw, but it also has to go through the hat, the helmet. So the helmet goes in these little slots here, and then we just slide this puppy in, and that's it. I must say it was extremely easy getting this out on both of the Diecast Trendmasters ones I have. I'm not sure why, but I'm not complaining. It's a lot harder on the Mighty Lion Force, the all plastic one, but the Diecast one works good. Also, the thing I mentioned about the ears before, it doesn't seem like there's as much pushing away from the body on this one's set of ears, so maybe this one is just a little better made or something. But I mean, I wanted to keep this head on the overall good one because it has the nicer paint, and it has the nicer, well, I put the white jaw on it, the not yellowed jaw, so it would overall be a nicer Voltron. So this is the whiter jaw, here's the much yellower jaw, but we'll still put the other one back together. So we'll have two relatively functional Voltrons. So where we're at now is we have one lion here with no head and a broken leg. But this one does have the wings, and this one here, this chest, is the one where I was experimenting with putting the yellow. Oh, guess I should have put this in before I put the peg in. Whoops. Okay, well, we'll take the peg back out. That was easy enough to do. You can see, actually, it's just a piece of cake. Okay, so I guess the order of operations needs to be put the neck thing in first. Okay, gotta slide these into the hole. This is actually a much tighter fit than the original, now broken black part, which suits me. I'm glad that it is more secure, and this bendable plastic is a huge improvement in my opinion. I finally have it working. I did have to shave a bunch of plastic out of here because I didn't realize the clearances were so tight on the back, but I'll probably go back in later with some sandpaper and smooth that out. But I did have to cut this whole section out of here for it to work, but it does. And got the Voltron face comes down, and it looks good. You know, ideally this would be black instead of yellow, but you know, that's what we got. So I feel like this is a pretty good hack. Okay, lying back. Definitely looks like it works. Yep, it works. So yeah, I will go after it with some sandpaper later and clean it up, but it's pretty good. You know, maybe somebody could do like a 3D printed replacement neck piece or something, and that would be cool. But if you have a dead Mighty Lion Force all plastic one and a broken die-cast one, you can just put the parts together with a little ingenuity and, you know, have yourself a working Voltron. Although things are awful tight now, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I also noticed that the ears, while they still are a little less than straight, they actually seem to work like a lot better now. So, you know, having everything tighter seems to be an improvement. So, we've got two Voltron bodies. One of them has a broken leg, and one of them has missing wings. And I think what I might do is just swap the legs off. And that way, because this, well, then again, there's the silver versus gold chrome thing, so maybe not. Yeah, maybe I will just fix this with a part from the other one, and you know, later on I'll try and get a part for you know, matching gold chrome piece for this leg if I can find one. But it's kind of down to which one of these is in better shape, and you know, I feel like this one kind of looks nicer. So this is the one with the gold chrome and the missing legs. So I think what I'll do is I'll take the silver leg off of this one and put it on there until I can get a gold chrome leg to replace it with. And yeah, this one over here without the wings, I'll find replacement wings for it, and you know, then I'll add them back, and we'll have 1, 2 working Voltrons. Don't mind me. Good opportunity to clean dust in there again. Let's get the tail back in here. Oops, shoot, that one flying. So like I said before, remember there is a spring, a washer, and a screw that hold this leg together. There, okay. Those legs are ready to go. All right, now back to the body. As we did way back when, we need to take out 1, 2 screws there, and then a third screw down here. So let's do that. Okay, got those all the way unscrewed, pulling it off. And I'm going to set the chest down here, and I think what I'll do is put this leg on here. So I won't, whoops, bump the camera. So I won't lose anything that way. Whoops. Won't lose anything, and then I immediately drop screws everywhere. No, it's okay. All right, for your reference, the short screw goes in the one on the tail. Okay. So basically I just need to get this piece out and then replace it with the kit bashed head. And we might not even really need this screw with the kit bashed head. But we'll see. Okay. That piece was in there pretty good. Okay. Kit bashed head. There we go. And I mean, it stays on really good, but let's see if the screw goes in. It might not actually be doing anything if it goes in. Yeah, it's like this plastic isn't even affected by the screw, but may as well put it in there so we have it later if we ever get a totally working black original neck piece to put in there. But for now, this will do. Okay, so let's take a moment to clean out the spots that have been revealed. Since this is not really parts with paint or stickers or die-cast metal, I'm just gonna do a little bit of rubbing alcohol on the toothbrush and clean this bit. Okay, so I'm just basically going into this spot here. And while I wait for that to dry for a second, we can go over on this side and clean up the legs here a little bit, the lion legs. And get down there by that is die cast, so I'm going to be real quick and wipe it off real fast. I'm not too worried about the paint in here because it's pretty much hidden by, oops, I'm not worried about this paint here too much because it's pretty much hidden by the legs, so it's basically, I think it's okay. I just wouldn't leave it on for very long. Okay, so I think that's good. So let's, geez, I keep bumping it, sorry. Let's go ahead and put these legs back on. Oh yeah, so in case you can't see or didn't see before, there is a slot here, and this tab slots into it. Oh, you know what I didn't do is clean this bit here. I'm not going to use alcohol on that part. Just going to use the little dust towel thingy. Okay. Right, we got this bad boy here. Put this big solid metal chest back in there. Okay, so we have the wings and the tail and the head, and everything looks pretty good now. So let's just screw this back together. So remember, the longer screws go in here. And they're not very long, but you know, they're longer. And you know, don't over tighten. As soon as they start firming up pretty good, you can stop. Considering how many issues there's been with these black plastics on these Trendmaster toys, I wouldn't push it. It seems okay, but you know, don't want to risk it. This one can be kind of a weird angle. Oh, that one fell right in. Perfect. All right. So now the legs. And I'll form the legs. Oh, I just knocked the spring out. Okay. I know I'll form the head. Shh. My theory is that what happened is somebody panicked when they were trying to disassemble it and just yanked way too hard and broke off the yellow lion's, or broke the black lion's foot off in the yellow lion. But yeah, that looks pretty good now. I say let's make it into a Voltron. Oops, gonna aim that a little more in there. I swear it's a little bit too tight almost. I mean, it's nice having good tight joints on a toy, but geez, that is tighter than necessary, I would say. All right, here we are. Okay. Yeah, tip on these wings, make sure that you're not like using the leverage to mess up the joints there. Just pull them back from where the joints are as much as possible. You don't want to break the wings. They are often broken on vintage Voltrons. Okay, so sorry, it's a little hard for me to do with this angle behind the camera. Okay, there he is with his fancy restored head. Pull that up. Okay, let's do some legs. All right, so here's the blue lion. Put that tail in. Wow, these joints are tight. Okay, pull the leg forward. Oof, man. They're so tight, it is alarming. Guess it's like that. Yeah. No. Maybe like, yeah. Okay. There we go. Right. Whew. Oh, by the way, I didn't actually mention this before, but if you are curious about these Trendmasters releases, so you can still pull that up. You can still pull this out as you could on the vintage one, but it doesn't even have the hole for the gun to shoot out of, which some of the Matchbox ones didn't have the shooting mechanism but still had the hole. This one doesn't have the hole at all. So yeah, this bit still comes out, but you know, there's no, like, they filled in the place where the trigger comes out, so that's not happening either. But you know, that's okay. It's not the end of the world that they don't have the firing weapons. Man, this is ridiculously tight. Goodness. Okay. I've never had a Voltron anywhere near this tight. Okay. Alrighty, so let's put this sucker together. I always forget, is it supposed to be forward a little bit? Is that right? Yeah, forward a little bit. Okay. Zoom back a little. Woo. See my dirty room. Okay, there we go. The whole Voltron's fitting in the screen, so let's give him his left, or this is his right hand, right? Yeah. Red is right hand, I believe. Oops, guess that wasn't clipped in all the way. Like, I'm not kidding. This is, every joint on this thing is insanely tight. Wow. This elbow is not going to flop at all, which is great because my 80s one, the elbow is awful floppy. So, you just kind of stick that puppy in, and you should try not to jam it further. Actually, are those feet supposed to be down? I think they are. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it's definitely supposed to go like this. Definitely much smaller profile that way. Okay. So, let me put that leg back in. All right. Oops. Right. Okay, here we go. Stick that guy in there. And you should just stick it into the first click. As soon as it clicks, just stop. It's possible to jam it in there much further, and then it's really difficult to get out. And as I say, this is the tightest Voltron I've ever come across in my life. But I didn't have a brand new one when I was a kid in the 80s. In fact, I didn't have a Voltron at all in the 80s. The Voltron that I had in the 80s is, I went to the YMCA for Aikido lessons. Yeah, I took Aikido for like 7 years or something when I was a kid. And at the YMCA, I was watching outside the little dojo area. And there was these big wooden boxes with like carpet on them that were just kind of a place you could sit and watch the people taking their classes. There's Aikido and Judo and karate and a couple of other things. And it was sort of, the dojo was kind of underneath a staircase. It's difficult to explain, but anyway, I was rooting around in there, just wasting time waiting for my dad to come pick me up, and I found a Voltron head. Just the severed head of the smaller sized non-transforming Diecast Voltron. And that was my only Voltron for the 80s. It wasn't until the 90s when I got one of these, you know, all plastic ones. I really wanted one of these Trendmasters diecast reissues, but I didn't get it, and you know, that was a bummer. By then I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and this is an area notorious for toy scalpers. You know, eBay is a Bay Area company, and basically toy scalpers have been in the San Francisco Bay Area since as soon as scalping on the internet was even an option. And yeah, I never ever saw one of these in like a Toys R Us or anything. Never saw one in the store. The only place I ever saw one of these for sale was years later at a toy show for like $200, which is really ridiculous considering that I think they retailed for like $40 or something back in, I think it was 97. So I always wanted one, but I never got one. And only got the cheapo plastic one, which I was, you know, grudgingly satisfied with. I did appreciate the little driver guys. I don't know if you've played with these, but they have a little seat where a pilot sits in. I've taken the pilots out and putting them on my display shelf, but trust me, they go in there. And I mean, that's kind of neat, but they don't, I mean, look at these proportions. No elbow? Seriously? No elbow? That's a bummer, right? Also, another thing that's really crappy about this all plastic one is there's like no actual mechanism. Oh, that's the metal one. There we go. There's no actual mechanism to hold the stupid arm in place. It's just like, look at this. It's just like a ring, like a gray plastic ring, and you're just supposed to put this in here. And the one that I had as a kid, this never worked right unless you really like forced it in, and then it would be impossible to get out, kind of like that. So, you know, I'm not real impressed with the plastic one, despite the coolness of the little driver guys. This sword, though, is from the plastic one, which I kind of prefer. I mean, it looks fundamentally the same, but what it does have is this little sheath of, I don't know, like kind of rubberized or latex material or something, which makes it like such a good fit, and the sword doesn't flop around like it always does. So for like the first time ever, you can have a Voltron with a sword that isn't floppy, and that is fantastic. So I'm pretty happy with this. I basically combined 3 broken Voltrons to make, or 3 broken Black Lions to make one good-looking Black Lion. And you know, the slight difference in the shade of the chrome will probably bug me until I find another broken gold chrome one to fix it with. But for now, that leg is perfectly fine the way it is. Like, you can barely tell the difference. And I will probably keep my eyes peeled for another gold chrome one. This plastic one is pretty trashed, and I stole a bunch of parts out of it, and the head broke before I even did anything. So, you know, it's garbage, but I'll probably keep it around to use for parts. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So I basically have one semi-broken Voltron with no wings, and I'll put this guy back together and get some replacement wings and see if I can find a neck piece here that isn't janky like this, and maybe another foot part, and then I'll have another Black Lion in decent condition. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this guy. I do have the little spinning shield thing somewhere. Oh, here it is. Yeah, the spinning shield thing. One thing that's kind of a bummer about the spinning shield on the Trendmasters diecast is this is not a solid plastic thing. There's just like a little sticker on the front, which seems to have disappeared at some point. I don't know if you could tell about the color of the chrome. Can you see a difference in the chrome color? It's very subtle. But yeah, anyway, I'm pretty happy with this little project. It's not perfect, but it's quite good, and I'll take it. Like I said, this is the tightest joints on any Voltron or Go line or whatever that I've ever encountered, and I really appreciate how it looks. And yeah, the Trendmasters' diecast is not necessarily as good as the old Matchbox, or obviously the Bandai Popey one, but it is still pretty good, especially if you fix that janky neck part. And you could do what I did and salvage it from the plastic one that always breaks in a different place. But that yellow bit in there, it's really solid. It's nice flexible plastic. It works really well. You do have to shave it down, and like I say, we'll come back and clean it up a little bit with some sandpaper just to smooth out that edge there. But I'm really happy with how that worked out. And yeah, if you have a similar Voltron situation, maybe you should consider doing that too. All right, that's it. I'm out.